Welcome, readers. Today on Book Chat, joining me are my three book bloggers, one series read-along co-host, Casey and Nicola. We're discussing Dead of Winter, the third book in the Arcana Chronicles by Kresley Cole. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, I am your host, Tamara Ford, and welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. Join in this book discussion by finding me on Twitter as well as my book blogger co-host. Tweet at us using our special hashtag 3bloggers1series. That's using the numeric 3 and 1. Again, that's hashtag 3bloggers1series. If Twitter isn't your thing, no worries, we've got you covered. You can join us in the Facebook group, Shelf Addiction Official, and talk about the series with us there, as well as other bookish topics. I hope to hear your thoughts on this book discussion. The links for everything related to today's episode are below in the show notes. But before we get started, I have to issue a spoiler warning. I want you to get the full enjoyment out of this conversation, so I recommend that you read the book first. This is a roundtable book discussion, so nothing is off limits. You've been warned. Hey guys, welcome back to another read along, and joining me as always are my read along co-host and friends, Nicola and Casey. I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Nicola, you go first.
Hey everybody, my name's Nicola. I've been reviewing at alphaheroes.net since 2007, and I've occasionally made appearances on other places like this one here with Tamara, and I just can't wait to tell you what I think about this book.
Yay, welcome.
Yay.
Casey?
Hi everyone, I'm Casey. I've been reviewing for Literary Escapism since 2010, and I started my own freelance editing business, Heartful of Ink, back in 2017. And I'm so excited to dive into this book.
Okay. With your editor head on, I know you're going to give us some plot holes this time too, right?
Okay. Weak world building.
Okay, because I know there are at least a few, but okay. So if this is your first time joining us, obviously you'll want to go back and listen to the others and read the other books if you want to be, worried about spoilers and all of that. So, hit pause and come back in a few days when you're finished with those other books. Otherwise, enjoy the ride. We're going to have some fun today.
Yeah, there are some series where you can kind of jump in and out of, but I don't think this is one of them. I think you really have to read the whole series in order to be able to follow it.
Agreed. Yeah, just because of how, the order of things and how people are dropping like flies, and, it's kind of like the countdown of who's left. You kind of have to know what's what. And actually, because of that, Nicola has made us this awesome chart. So if you are in our Facebook group, you can find that and, keep everything straight in your head, because I need it. So I'm sure others do too.
They'll be like, oh, I have 4 markings. And you're like, well, who did you kill?
Right.
It's been 2 books. So yeah.
Yeah, I got to, and it's, so Casey was mentioning earlier, if you have a hardback copy or a paper copy, there's a chart at the beginning of each book, or at least starting with the second book, of who the cards are and which ones have been eliminated. But I'm a spreadsheet kind of person, so I have a little chart with a little extra information on it. And I'll be posting versions of those based on the books at the end of each live Facebook event. So nobody has to get spoiled.
Right. So her chart, so if you can't remember who killed who, her chart actually tells you who took them out, who got the mark, and all of that. So
and
that's
in
fine.
what book it happens. Because that's important to remember too.
Indeed it is.
Doesn't hurt. So
yeah.
So yeah, there's 22 of them, which is a lot of big characters for a series, right? So that's it can be a little bit hard to keep track of. So.
Especially since some of them, bite the dust off the page. So can't remember
like the
those.
Star
and Temperance. So kind of saw that, but from a distance. That was the one.
Like a flashback.
Yeah, that was the one that Evie watched through Matthew's eyes in the first book.
Okay, so you brought up Evie. Let's talk about this chick. Let's talk about her.
You sound so enthused.
I am like, oh my goodness. I just finished the book right before, about 20 minutes before we logged on here to talk.
Mhm.
And I kind of just feel a way about her. This whole book, I'm like, okay, and I knew it was going to be a triangle. I was warned multiple times about a love triangle, but still, I was just kind of slightly put out by it the entire time. And I had a hard time getting on the same page with Evie. Like, come on, girl. You mentioned once in a while, oh, I could just be by myself. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. No, this book was very annoying in that Evie is just basing her entire life around these two boys. And that's all she's doing is she's like suppressing the Red Witch. She's not really using any powers. And she's like, oh, well, I need Jack to go save my grandmother. Oh, I could be with Death because he's lonely. Oh, I don't know what to do. I can see my life with both of them, but I do nothing but sit on the sidelines and twiddle my thumbs.
Yeah. Yeah, she did that a lot. She's like, well, if only Jack hadn't lied to me, I
That
would
she
still trust
forgave him for.
Right, which you forgave him, but you still bring it up. You still bring it up, though. And then, oh, wait, you risked your life. You weren't supposed to do that. That is the dumbest stuff I ever heard. Like, okay, fine. But then on the flip side with, Arik or whatever, oh, he did try to, twist your arm into having sex with him. Who does that? Okay. And in what world is that okay? Even if he is 1,000-year-old virgin. I mean, my God.
He tortured her. He openly talked about torturing her.
Yeah.
It is Stockholm Syndrome. I love the man, but it is Stockholm Syndrome.
Well, now he came around a little bit. He's got a little bit of a character arc there.
He's changed a bit. Yeah, he is evolving. I can give him props for that. But Evie's all like, so what if he tortured me? He always tells me the truth.
Right. I'd rather be tortured and know the truth than to be lied to. That's, oh God, girl.
Stupidest thing.
Well, torture's a little bit different when you have regenerative powers and you're almost immortal. So it's more like foreplay.
Because she's acting like she's still a 16-year-old human.
Yeah. And that whole explanation of how he's like old, but his mind isn't really that old. I'm like, I don't buy it. You're just trying to pass it off so we don't feel so gross about him, but
yeah.
Sorry, Nicola, you're laughing. You're like, oh, I can't believe these two. Sorry, we know we're coming hard, but that's how I feel a little bit.
It's all good. That's why there's three of us, right?
Tell us how you felt.
I get it gets a little bit tedious, the back and forth, and I love them both kind of thing. And she still, kind of feels like she's going to make a choice, but she never does. So,
she
that's
kind of does at the very end.
Well, that's the very end is, yes, she does make a choice there.
She does make a choice. So she does make a choice, yeah.
Yep. So we're going to spoiler that right away because that was a pretty major ending. But
let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Right.
Spoil it. I don't care.
I mean, I'll say this by way of transitioning. All of this irritating stuff about the characters for me goes away with these crazy cliffhanger endings. I figured that out on this book is like, yeah, I can be kind of annoyed with the characters all the way through, but man, those action scenes and every book ends with a cliffhanger, right? And I just can't wait to get to the next book to find out what's going on. So that's why usually I'm a character reader, but this one I think is really more about the pacing and the action and the what's going to happen next kind of element. So anyway, I just, every time one of these books ends, I don't care what's happened before. It ends on a scene that makes me want to read the next one and find out what's going on next. So I guess I end up forgiving a lot of the character stuff because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Those cliffhangers get you. Like when I finished this one, I screamed and then thought about driving out to the bookstore. But I was like, no, we have to. Like,
Exactly.
I want the physical book. I'm going to go drive to a bookstore. God damn it.
Now,
Like, you wanna
see,
read it
that's
from that-
funny. You guys react like that, and I'm like, oh, that was a waste. Well, what's going to happen next?
No, a waste. Come on.
Yeah. But I'm like, he's okay, we're just going to spoil. I'm like,
Yeah,
he's not
spoils.
dead. He's not dead. So, obviously, we're like, okay,
There's
well,
30
at least,
feet of lava. Come on.
well,
How do you
something
survive?
happened.
Celine. Is it Celine or Selena? The moon. She's dead.
Yeah.
And I feel really bad about that. She survived so much with
Yep.
those freaky twins. And she survived and she fought just to get wiped away by freaking lava.
I know.
Oh, that was not fair to her.
And I did like her in the end. At the beginning, I didn't care for her at all, but I'm like, wow, she's actually a good person. So, you know,
Yep.
she had
She's
Jack's
a
back.
good friend.
Yeah.
There was that moment when Evie rescued her and she came running at Evie, and Evie had like this moment of, is she going to kill me? Or and then she like hugged her and was so
hugged
happy
her.
to see her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like them together. I like that little click of them together. And I feel like they finally got over the hump where,
They're boy crazy.
well, when Evie was feeling jealous of Selena, you know, there wasn't a point anymore. And they finally got past that. And I'm like, oh, maybe this might work out. At least she didn't choose the pedophile. And I'm like, okay. And then, like, no. All right. That's kind of how I felt, but you know, we'll see. I want to see what's going to happen next. I'm like, let's go for it. You know, let's hope that, you know.
So, in a theoretical world, what would you like have to happen in this series? Evie ending up alone or somebody else becoming the heroine?
Actually, even though I didn't like Jack in the beginning, I felt like he was the one that made more sense for her. In the end, I would like to see her with Jack. I would. I mean, I'm holding out hope that somehow there was like a cave or something that maybe, you know, Selena saved him and pushed him somewhere or did something to him where he's suddenly not dead. Because I think that, I mean, even though he's got his quirks, he does. If these are the only two options, I feel like he's the better choice.
They're definitely, you know, a match as far as being contemporaries, right? So Eric has all the baggage from being so old and cultural things from thousands of years ago. So in that respect, I think Jack would be an easier match for Evie. But he also doesn't really understand her powers, you know, not at a gut level like Arik does.
She doesn't either, and she's still trying to suppress it.
She doesn't want it. And honestly, that's why she chose him. Like, she thought about what she envisioned for herself, and Jack fit into that better than Arik did. So, I don't know.
Well, you know, I've read a lot farther into the series than you guys have, and I'm still scratching my head. I'm just going to say that. But
oh, God.
I don't know how she's... Well, what I mean is I'm scratching my head about the world building, right? Where she's set up this thing where they all have to die except one. And being the winner kind of sucks too, right? So I am just dying to know how she resolves that conundrum. Like, does Evie get her way? Is she able to break the rules of the game? And that's the thing that I'm still dying to understand. So,
well, I mean, honestly, I feel like I want her to break the rules. I really do, for her own sake. For the character's sake, I hope she's able to do it. Because if not, she's going to end up killing, you know, Arik. I feel like that's what's going to happen. She's going to kill him in the end, you know, and that's just me just guessing because I have not read ahead, guys. So that's just my theory. Either she's going to find a way to break it or he's going to end up dead. And that's just going to suck. And by then she probably full on will love him, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, if she can't break the rules of the game, then I don't know what happens, right? I just don't know how she's going to do it. I'm told this is total speculation, but you know, they talked about how this game was originally set up by a bunch of gods and goddesses from other realms who are using this dimension as a game board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the only way to break it is going to be to somehow contact those deities and say, "Hey, we're done,"
Stop messing with us.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's so far no indication that. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that.
I'm still holding out hope that maybe, like, I feel like I thought this, like, during book 1, if I didn't say it, I might have said it, but I think in some kind of way, Jack is going to be more than what we think he is. Like, maybe he is one of them and he doesn't know it. Maybe he has some kind of integral role in the game and he doesn't know it. Something that would keep him alive, and people have said he's always been able to escape death, so maybe there's something else about him we just don't know yet, and he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, could be.
I definitely think that's true because, and I know I've said this before, he reminds me of Mal from the Grisha series, and I know I keep comparing him, so if you haven't read that series, go read it, listen to our discussions about it, and then come back here. But he's definitely like Mal in that he's special and he doesn't realize it. And he's very integral to Evie because, he was always drawn to Evie. He keeps finding things when he shouldn't be able to find things. He built this freaking wall with his bare hands for his fort. And they're like, oh yeah, no, a tank can't go through that. And he built it with his hands. And I'm like, how?
It's not normal.
You didn't need some help? Like, you just put stuff out there with your hands? What? Okay, you're totally mortal human guy? Sure. That makes sense.
And he's known as the general. He's the general who kills everything, He survives.
The Cajun hunter.
He's the hunter. Yeah.
Isn't Mal the hunter, too?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think Mal was called that too.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
so
don't kill Jack.
Correlations.
You don't have any of those magical bringing back to life powers. It only works on yourself. Don't kill him.
With all that said, I mean, I still, and it's funny because last book, or at least in the first book, I know I went on this kind of rampage about Jack, but now I feel kind of the opposite. And like he
has grown.
Yeah.
He has changed more than any other character so far. So you have to give him props for that.
Yeah, like I don't hate him anymore. I mean, I feel like he is growing up. But now I just have a big problem with Arc. I do. Like even better than in the last book. Because at the end, now the fool reveals that he has her grandmother. I'm like, when? Where? How? What?
That week he disappeared and didn't talk to her.
Yeah.
He went off and kidnapped an old lady.
Right?
As a gift.
And he has no qualms about tying people up and taking them and doing what he thinks needs to be done. So, I mean, you did that to her. What'd you do to her grandmother to get her to come along?
Probably something really terrible because her grandmother wants him to die.
Yeah.
He's definitely got a little bit of the billionaire hero trope going on, right? So nobody ever tells him no, and he can make anything happen. And so, yeah.
He has tanks of gas that'll last 50 plus years. He has food and light and anything she could possibly need in a dance studio. And yeah, he's a billionaire.
Yeah, where she can continue to give him freaky dances to his heart's content. Like, oh, God. Lord, have mercy. That's all he cares about.
LA slippers.
Anyway. Yeah, right.
He can find ballet slippers. Jack can find headphones and listen to Evie's confessional. Right. It's the end of the world. They look for the important stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff laying around at the end of the world. There's not very many people using it. So
true.
So there's probably not a lot of people raiding, dance studios for ballet slippers, right? So,
right, because who needs that in the apocalypse? For what?
Pops on your list of survival gear, right? So,
yeah, like all I need are some toe shoes. That's all I need in this world. No.
If you're trying to seduce death, then yes, it's exactly what you need.
Exactly. What did you guys think about Matthew in this book? I kind of said earlier on that I just couldn't get on the same page with Evie, and I couldn't even in regards to Matthew. Like, she's always like, sweetheart, are you okay? Sweetheart, are you eating?
God.
Are you sleeping? What's wrong? I'm like, why is she talking to him like he's 5?
Because she's insane. She's insane, not Matthew.
No,
Evie.
Yeah.
But Matthew doesn't take care of himself, he's mentally unbalanced by all his powers. And so that's why she treats him that way. It's partly because she just doesn't understand anything he's saying, so she kind of infantilizes him.
That's driving me crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Having read it once, I kind of know where he's going with a couple things. But like the first time you read it through, he just, it's very difficult to understand what he's saying. He's very, in the old mythology where they go see an oracle to get all the answers, it's always some kind of terrible riddle that you don't really understand until after the fact. And that's kind of what goes on.
Yeah, but she's treating him like he's stupid. There was one line that really bothered me where he said something about gravestones and snow. Mm-hmm. And she looked at him and she goes, "Are you cold?"
Right.
No, he's trying to tell me the future.
Right.
It's like, that turns out to be the last chapter, but still, she's like, "Are you cold? Do you need food?
Right.
What's wrong?" And I'm like, you've been with him for months. Like,
you're not paying attention.
You're just not paying attention. You've known this is how he talks. This is what he's trying to do when he tries to warn you about stuff. And then when she does ask questions and he answers in the same way he always does, she gets frustrated because he's not doing what she wants him to do. Well, and that really annoys me.
Understand him. I mean, she just doesn't know what he's trying to tell her.
Right. And she doesn't try to.
And that's fine. And I feel like if you don't understand him, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that he is a child. He's a big kid just like you. He's a teenager just like you. You just don't understand what he's saying. So why do you have to talk to him? Okay, I don't have any kids, granted. But I have plenty of nieces and nephews. And I have lots of kids that, their friends love me. I'm great. But guess what? I don't talk to kids like they're babies. They don't like it. I don't think any kid actually likes to be talked to like a baby. And I don't think Matthew does either. He's like, "I'm out. Deuces."
Yeah, he's 17 years old. He survived Earth before the Flash, and yes, everything's the Arcana. Yes, his mind is going crazy. But she should try to make it easier on him and listen. And going back, comparing this to the other series we've read, back to the others, when she went crazy and gave all her prophecies and whatnot, they would write it down and try to piece it together and figure it out. And Evie doesn't even do that with him. She's like, "Oh, you're talking about snow? Are you cold? What is this? I don't know." Like, she doesn't even try.
You listen poorly.
It's crazy.
She listens poorly. That's what Matthew.
She does.
That's what Matthew keeps telling her. You listen poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he means it literally. And I mean, even Ark is like, no, don't chase after him. His mind needs a break from you, girl.
Yeah,
basically.
He's like, he needs a rest. He will find peace. He's fine. And she's like, "No, but I have to spoon feed him. I have to take care of him. I have to ask him if he's cold and give him a jacket."
Can you imagine? He's like this big baby she's trying to cradle. And he's like, "Get away from me. You're not listening." That's all I can think of. Like, stop it. You're so stupid.
What did you guys think of the trustee thing where they used, was it his blood that they used to paint their wrist and then they couldn't be aggressive towards each other?
I thought that was really interesting and very cool that they did that without Evie.
Yeah.
Because Evie's been trying to pretend like she's the center of everything. They're like, "Yeah, no, we have this trust thing. Without you, we're good."
Yeah, there was a play on words in that, wasn't there? The
truce and trust.
Yeah, the trues versus truce. So they call them the TRUES, the true cards, and then because they had sort of declared a truce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I guess that is off once they leave the little fort or the big fort, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I mean, because not all truces like hold for long periods of time. Like, and that makes sense to
Right.
me.
Most
Like,
truces
we have
are temporary, right? It's
Yeah.
a truce
Yeah.
when it's done, when it's permanent. I liked that. It's something I missed the first time around, or didn't remember from the first time around, was that they had, and it actually held them back. There was some point where one of them started getting, moving aggressively towards another one, and they got
Death. It was Jules trying to fight Death, and Evie was running around getting Matthew's blood and protecting Death, and everybody was like, "What the fuck, Evie?"
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that was a heated moment for sure. So, but Death is always, he comes around and he helps her. It's interesting that he had that power that he can suppress his own call or whatever. That seemed a little interesting or strange or possibly overly convenient for the plot moment.
well, it seems like a lot of people can do that now, because what's his butt did it at the very end.
Richter?
The guy with lava?
Oh, yeah, the Emperor guy or whatever.
Yeah, the Emperor hid until he erupted with lava.
Well, did he hide?
I feel like somebody else did it at one point, but I don't remember who.
Did he hide, or was that just when he arrived that you started hearing him?
I thought he was hiding, like laying in wait, and then like once they were in place, he did that to hurt Evie, like kill Jack in front of Evie, kind of thing. That's how I read it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I didn't get that he was suppressing his call, because they did hear him.
Yeah, but it happened like 2 seconds.
Really fast.
Yeah. Like it was, he's there and then it's happening. I thought like you heard the call for miles out, because she heard the alchemist call for a while before she found him. She heard Selena's call before they found the house, or like before they saw her. Like you hear it for a while.
It gets louder when they get closer.
It does seem a little inconsistent. So maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't jump out at me that he'd been suppressing the call. So they talked about it when Eric was going with them to rescue Selena, that she was supposed to go without any Arcana, but Arik was able to join them because he could suppress his call and they wouldn't hear him.
Yeah. Which is why I was like, is that what is his name? I keep forgetting. Richter. Is that what he was like? That's why I was like, is that what he's doing here at the end? He has his power too? Because he's here and they didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Yeah, that's why it popped up to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, and I guess it is just a really lucky coincidence that Arik just followed her even after she stumped on his little heart or whatever.
Yeah, maybe
he's going to follow her forever, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I halfway felt a little bad for the guy, but not really. Like, oh.
Well, like Matthew says, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, bad.
Exactly.
And then he said goodbye. And so I thought that was more foreshadowing. But that was just me.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of the lovers?
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting. Disgusting.
Agreed. Yeah, that was
disgusting.
That was a strange interpretation of love.
Yeah.
And then the absorbed twin, that was...
Oh, God.
That was freaky as fuck.
That was bad.
Yeah, and the crazy dad, I'm the tail of the lizard.
The dad was awful. The twins, I'll say that loosely, they were awful. I mean, the whole, what did Evie say to what's his face? She was like, did you Photoshop?
Yeah. Did some Photoshop.
Yeah.
What were they called? The replicas or whatever. That was a funny moment when she realized that like this super powerful guy was basically a basement neckbeard gamer dude.
Who hasn't seen the light of day ever.
That was you almost felt sorry for him at that point. Like, okay, so you've been turned crazy. You never had a chance to be.
Yeah. You know, one thing that isn't consistent for me, and maybe you can correct me if I am missing something here, but Evie talks about, well, you know, I did them basically really dirty in one round, and maybe they're this way now because of the things that were done to them before, right?
Yeah.
So in past games, Evie was clearly a bad person.
Right.
Clearly, she just did not care. But now, like, why isn't she intuitively that way like the others are? Like, she is wholeheartedly different than her past lives, but these others don't really seem like they are.
That's a good question.
They are a product of their past lives.
That's a good question.
It has a lot to do with the chronicling and how these kids are raised. Like, the lover twin guy, he was raised by a parent who read him the stories every night for bedtime, telling him about how evil Evie was and how he would have to fight him. And he was, you know, raised in that bunker and never saw the light of day. Selena was also raised in a very similar fashion where she was taught everything.
So you think if her grandmother was around that whole time, her grandmother would raise her to be like the Red Witch and not how she is now?
Probably, because that's what she was trying to do.
Yep.
That's was the grandmother was that was her job. Like, you have to kill, or what she'd started to do, and what Evie keeps having these flashbacks about.
She might want to ditch her grandmother.
Yeah,
I guess we'll find out in the next book, right? Because she's going to meet her grandmother.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense now, but at first I'm like, well, it just seems weird. Like, and even as she's starting to remember things, she's still not clicking into the other personality, you know, even though she's starting to remember on her own. It's weird, but I guess.
I mean, it could also have something to do with the fact that she went to the insane asylum and was basically brainwashed into thinking that everything she thought was crazy. And this is the way she should be. So it could be some of that still lingering on. Like, I have to be normal because this is what the doctor said is normal, even though she's now living in this post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah. I could see that.
I think it's a good question, though, right? Is it nature versus nurture, and why is Matthew trying so hard to help her? Why does he like her so much, right? He keeps saying Evie's Empress is his friend. Like, why is that? Why would that be if she was so horrible in all the other games? You know, so it's an interesting.
Well, she did have a friendship with Cersei.
Yep.
That's how you say her name, right? The water. Not the Empress. The High Priestess. She's the Empress. I know.
But she seemed kind of like, they seem like, well, based on like the couple of little segments of flashbacks that I think Evie had, it seemed like they were the mean girls together. They're like, people, and I don't think she's good either. So we'll see what happens if she befriends her friend again. Good, bad, good. Yeah, it's all relative, I guess.
I think that's one of the points of the book is that nobody's either all good or all bad, except some of them are all bad. But it's like the
some are psychopaths and sociopaths.
The alchemist was all bad, you know. But I think the more interesting characters are more of a mix.
For sure.
Yeah, I do think though, like kind of just. I guess going back a little bit, I do feel like that was a mistake to kill off Selena. I feel like I really liked her character, and I don't know. I just feel like killing her was the wrong thing to do. Like, no, Evie needed her.
Evie did need her. And I feel like that's more why she was killed than anything. Like, yes, she's Arcana. Yes, you know, everybody's trying to kill each other. But it's the fact that Evie is growing as a person and needs those friendships. And I think Presley Cole is trying to put Evie, like, force her to stand on her own and not rely on friends. And hopefully, eventually, not rely on the men.
Yeah. Well, it ups the stakes with Richter, right? It makes it more imperative.
More
to
personal.
Deal with that. And, the whole thing about relying on men, I think it's more about working as a team. because Fauna's a big player and Selena was a big player, and I don't see the. I think that's what Evie's strength is getting all these arcana to work together. But it's a different way to look at it.
I don't know, but is that her strength though? Is it really like Jack is the one that brought them together?
Yeah. Jack is the one who held them together too.
Yeah. When she was gone for 3 months doing whatever,
Dancing.
Yes. Right.
Killing Ogun.
Yeah, she did do that. Only out of necessity did she do that.
Yeah, she was going to die, and so was Lark.
Well, I mean, Death actually killed Ogun, but she stayed alive and protected Lark, so...
Tying back to the chronicling stuff, I have questions, and I want to know if you guys have these questions, too.
Okay.
So, who and how is the chronicling done? Like, I know it's the family members, but are they, like, following each of their people around and taking notes during each battle? Or do they, like, have a system where all the chroniclers talk to each other and share stories about what's happening? Or do they just wait for the people to be reincarnated and then, have flashbacks? Or what? Words, questions. I don't know what's going on here.
I don't think they talk to each other. I think that they write down what happened to their family.
Right, and that's why it's so skewed. Each person, like, hears the story in a way that's really, like, they're the victim.
Yeah, they all think that they're the ones that were wronged and that they have, that justice is on their side.
But how do they know what happened each time? It's like when Evie killed the lovers, was there somebody there watching and taking notes? Or did they just stumble upon it afterward and write that story down? Because the way they tell the stories, it's like they know exactly what happened in every detail. Like somebody was standing there watching and taking notes. But then, nobody is there watching. So... How do they know what happened?
I don't know. There's the switchboard, right? So maybe they're talking to the chronic. I don't know. There's no. I will say I agree with you. There does not seem to be any evidence of anyone chronicling this game, right? So that's into.
Oh yeah, no, like it's not happening in this game at all. But I was thinking more of like the past games,
right?
And how that's happening.
You would say that the winner gets to write the history, but clearly that's not the case. All the different families have their own stuff. And the line, it's interesting because how does the line continue if they're all killed off when they're...
That was my next question. Obviously in this round, the lovers only had them and their dad, and that was it. And now that they're dead, are they never going to have another lover card? Or... Obviously, if somebody is born into it, they will have no idea what's happening.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh. So is this where people chime in and say, don't think about that too hard. Don't worry about it.
This is my editor brain. This is just what I think about is how do you know this information? How does this information come about? Is somebody running around taking notes? Or does the winner write the stories? Or how do the lines continue? Like, these are very important world building questions that I feel like the reader should know.
I mean, especially if it's the end of the world and all of your family dies, then yeah, that's important.
Well, so the idea of reincarnation kind of gets you around a bloodline that continues, right? Because that doesn't have to be a biological bloodline. But I don't know how physical artifacts like the books follow that. So that's good.
I don't think they do because somebody's burned.
Right.
It was either this book or the last book where somebody was all like, "Oh yeah." No, it was Gabriel. He was raised with the monks. Right. And all of the books burned hundreds of years ago, so He doesn't know anything.
So I would call that a little bit of a plot hole, at least as far as we know, right? I will say that in later books, there's a little bit of discussion about how the world comes back after a game. So maybe that will have some, maybe that will reveal some information that would be useful on this question.
Okay, well, it's good to know that's out there.
But it is a good question. If it's reincarnation and there's not a bloodline continuity, then how do the physical artifacts follow the families? That's I don't know. Do not know.
And isn't that true or not true? Not all families had a chronicler.
That's true as well. So there's comments in different points saying, you know, their family chronicles, or which implies that not all of them do, right? And I think there was, in this book, there was some discussion about the Tarasova versus a chronicler, right? And what powers the Tarasova has.
I think? No.
I thought there was.
I don't remember that.
I would have to go look it up. But anyway.
We'll have to discuss this in the group chat.
We can do that. All right, so if you're listening, start putting in comments. What did you think about that?
Yeah, because I don't even know what that is. I'm like, what? I'm like, I must have missed the whole section. Or maybe I fell asleep on that part. I don't know. Just going to be honest. I'm like, okay. I'll just roll with it.
That's all right. It happens. It happens.
For me, this book was kind of not as speedy as the others, and I did find the plot kind of drab sometimes, where I did kind of fall asleep.
That's the danger of the audiobooks, right?
Yeah, I mean, and especially when I'm not busy doing other things. So, like, this time around, I was trying to finish at the end, and I wasn't actively doing anything. But, you know, anyway, regardless, I'm like, I'll zone out. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know. Let me rewind it. So, I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't much to the plot this time around, in my personal opinion, outside of the twins. You know, they were the big, you know,
big
thing
bad
to get over this time. And of course, the never-ending love triangle, it really didn't propel the plot, in my opinion. Not that far, but...
Yeah, this book should have been titled The Love Triangle Question, or The Love Triangle Debate, or Evie Can't Make a Decision to Save Her Life.
Yeah.
I'm being very mean right now. I'm sorry. But
that was the main focus, though. The main focus. I mean, even with the lovers, it's like, we have your man. Ha ha ha. Oh wait, now we have both. Ha ha ha. What are you gonna do? Like, I mean, it was all about that.
It was all about Evie and Jack and Death figuring out where they stand. And, you know, the lovers symbol right here on the front of the cover is a freaking triangle.
Yeah.
Because they're the twins, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a comment in there. Maybe there's a little bit of a layer saying, you know, Evie, if love is the most destructive force on earth, what is Evie doing to Jack and Arik?
Yeah.
What is she doing to them? I guess.
I will say I read the first 30% really fast. I was looking for something specific about the replicas or whatever. I was like, because I kind of remembered it from the last time around, and when the symbol didn't show up on, was it Jules or the Irish guy's hand?
Yeah, Jules. Jules is his name.
When it didn't show up on his hand, you know, it was kind of like, okay, I can't remember what happened. And I wanted to get to a certain point in the story, but then I put it down so that it would be fresh when we were talking about it. But so the first 30% went really fast for me. I read that in one sitting. And then I did put it down. And I would say, you know, this series, the strength is in the action and the mystery of the other cards, and the way the powers are revealed. That's the stuff that I'm really liking in this series. The characters, you know, you guys are making it hard to like the characters for me.
Sorry, so
Right.
sorry.
I still,
you know,
didn't read them that way when I'm reading them on my own.
Oh, great. Leave it to Tamara to put a negative spin on things. Sorry.
No, I'm trashing Evie just as hard as you.
Yeah. And I respect you guys' opinion a lot. So, it's not like it's coming out of nowhere. But I'm still sort of determinedly going through and seeing it with my my rose-colored glasses. And the first time I read it through without any help from you guys. Glasses. So I have that going for me. But love to hear from the listeners in the comments. What are you guys thinking about these characters and the story itself? What's the strengths and weaknesses of the series?
Yeah, let us know, because I am really curious to see who else also has character problems, or if it's just me and Casey. So, I don't know. Is there anything else we should touch on? I know we're coming up on our hard stop time.
I really want to touch on the world building really, really fast, because I have questions about physics and what is happening in this world. So obviously this is Earth, right? And we have some very there's gravity. The Earth spins on its axis. This is what happens on planet Earth. But for some reason, the sun has just disappeared. And they're getting sunlight for an hour a day, if that. What the fuck happened to the sun? Did the Earth tilt on its axis and we just don't see the sun anymore? So North America is where Antarctica was? Or is it just really, really cloudy so you don't see the sun at all? Or is the sun disappearing and the whole universe is dying? I know I get kind of crazy with the details here. I know that. It's just me.
Not for nothing. I did wonder that the couple of times they mentioned not having sun. And I'm like, when did that happen? How did that happen? Is that another time where I blanked out? Because I did think about it.
No, it started disappearing back in Endless Night, where they're like, oh, the days are getting longer because, it's wintertime. But now they're like, we have an hour of sunlight. So I'm like, okay, what happened to the sun? But bearing that, what's happening to the weather? I know the plants and animals are all dead, but it'd be freezing if we don't have sunlight. Because sunlight heats up the earth, and that keeps temperatures warm. But they're going around in shorts and jeans and t-shirts, and it's raining all the time. And they're like, oh, everything's fine. It's normal weather out here. And I'm like, if the sun disappears, you don't have heat.
Being from Seattle, I just assumed that the sun going away just meant that it was super overcast, and it just wasn't reaching the surface. So I didn't assume that the sun was gone, just that it was.
But they talk about no sunlight, and she doesn't have sunlight to rejuvenate, and there's no light. And even when it's rainy and overcast, it's still kind of gray outside, it's not pitch black night. And they kind of imply that.
They imply that it's nighttime.
Yeah, it's always dark, and the roosters still crow at morning, even though it's still dark. So I'm not sure what she's doing with this. And I don't know if this has anything to do with the sun card, because one of the tarot cards is the sun. There was the moon with Selena, so somebody is the sun. We haven't met them yet. And then it didn't snow until the very, very end of this book. And I was like, if it's snowing now, it should have been snowing before, because weather and physics and what is happening.
But then I think, well, maybe it's not dark, because then there's times where the author describes, Evie seeing Arik up on the ledge, or she's seeing, Jack and Selena far off in the distance, down in the whatever. If it's dark, can you see that?
Probably not, unless you're used to it. Yeah. But the sun does come up for a little bit, and there's no consistency with the weather or the sun or the light or anything. There's just no consistency. And is this bothering anybody else in the comments? Any reader? Am I just weird?
I guess I never felt like it was pitch black out. I got the sense that there were still, dim, hazy, overcast days and dark nights. There was talk about traveling at night versus traveling during the day. And I don't know, I guess I didn't question it that closely. The other thing that happened in that same sort of question, I guess, is in the first book, the flash itself was like the sun comes out at midnight or something and fries everything. So I think the planetary realities seem like they're a little bit suspended for this series.
Yes, this is true. I always thought of that as more like a solar flare, but the sun was pretty normal for the first, 200, 250 days. Like they had a pretty normal system, and now I don't know what's happening.
Just go with the case.
And I'm trying to suspend my disbelief, but also like, is gravity just going to stop working randomly?
Hopefully not.
We did rotate the Earth backwards a little ways.
That did happen since we were rewinding time and all of that in this book.
Yeah.
Don't get me going about time either, because I mean, if you guys listen to any of my other podcasts where I talk about time travel and different TV shows, that's like a thing for me. Like I can go in on like the inconsistencies with rewinding time and all that crap. So let's just not even go there. Let's just not even go there.
We'll talk about that later on Facebook, because I'm going to that too.
You know, like, but okay, whatever. We'll roll with it. Just roll it. Okay, guys. Anything else before we give our ratings for Dead of Winter?
That's pretty much it for me.
I'm good.
Okay, let's do this. Let's rate this book. I will go last because I'm still trying to decide. So,
all right, Casey, you go.
I'll go first. Okay, so even though Evie is driving me batshit crazy, I give this a 4 stars because it hooked me. This story is so well written, despite all of the issues that I harp on. I'm still devouring each page and staying up till 3 a.m. because I need to know what's happening next. And the cliffhangers, like you mentioned earlier, is just so just like, what? You just killed him with lava? Like, you can do that in this book? You're just going to kill people with lava? So, yes, even though I pick on it and pick on Evie, and I give it a 4 stars because it hooks me.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm also at 4 stars. I love this series, and I'm not bogged down during the reading with some of these little picks and stuff. So, the triangle thing does get to me, and the dithering gets to me. But I guess that's kind of a standard thing for YA. So, and I really do kind of see what she sees in both of the guys, and kind of understand why she can't seem to let either one of them go entirely. So I think the author does a good job of making us care about both of these guys and understand her dilemma. So I'm at a 4 still, and I can't wait to read the next one.
Okay. Okay, so, all right, here's my rating. And I think, if you guys know me a little bit, I'm probably going to be really predictable with a 3.
Yep.
Yes, with a 3. I did enjoy it overall. I had some issues, as you guys could tell from this conversation. I really didn't feel like much happened in this book, and the stuff that did happen kind of had my eyes rolling here and there. I like Jack more and more, and I will stand by the fact that he's not dead, and that is keeping me motivated to go into the next book.
I don't know how he could survive the lava, though.
Some way, somehow.
God? Reincarnation.
Yeah, he could. Anything is possible in this world, apparently. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to rag too much on, but yeah, I mean, I'm still interested. I'm still about it. Let's do this, but 3 is me. So next time we are going to, I think we should go in order and not skip the novella, right? Or it's a novella, right?
Day 0.
It's an anthology, so it's a bunch of short stories.
Okay, so in this situation, I believe we get to learn about the pre-Flash story for several of the cards, probably.
Yeah, it's called Day 1, so it is
Day Zero.
Day Zero.
Yeah, so it's the day of the Flash for some of the characters that we have not heard their stories. Okay.
Thanks for listening today, guys. Thanks for participating in the conversation. Those in the Facebook group, I hope you are having a great time discussing this book with us.
Yes.
And stay tuned. Next month, we will be back again, and we will be talking about Day Zero. So that is it for today.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next month. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.